When this fight was announced, there was much discussion about whether Islam was going to be too small to move up to welterweight to fight Jack Della Maddalena. And guys, I think he's going to be all right. He has discovered the wondrous effects of creatine. Of course, only the Russian brand. For the first time in his life, he said he's been taking creatine. And can you imagine if he started taking like amino acids or whey protein, a multivitamin? Bro would be hitting heavyweight soon. Creatine Islam Makhachev is a new mythical fighter unlocked. And I am terrified for Jack Della Maddalena. I mean, it was absurd how strong he was at lightweight. His submission grip was like impossible to break through. I can only imagine now with creatine that he is going to, I don't know, snap JDM in half with a bear hug or something. Like, this is going to be quite interesting. All jokes aside, this is of course going to have a positive effect for Islam that, he's going to be physically stronger, he's going to be bigger. He weighs 191 pounds, which was confirmed by his coach Javier Mendez. And he said that Islam used to weigh 180 pounds walking into training camp.
As a coach, are you happy to see him be able to be a little bit healthier as well? Like, I imagine towards the end of that lightweight run, he's such a professional. He's always going to be making the weight, but he was always quite a big lightweight, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was basically, he'd walk into training camp around 179, 180, and this camp here, he came in about 190, 191, so it's 10 pounds heavier. But you got to remember, there's a big difference between 155 and 170. That's a 15-pound difference. So he has 5 pounds less to lose on this one than the last one. So, that could very well be why he's stronger, this camp, because he didn't have as much to lose, But still, I think, for a 170, I think he's not a bad 170 to be walking around 190, that's not bad. Not bad at all.
So that's an 11-pound weight gain, which is pretty significant for a fighter. And now he weighs the exact same as JDM, who says he walks around at 191 and says that, he doesn't really cut much weight for this weight class. They are essentially the same size fighter. So this is roughly a size comparison between how he looked at lightweight to now. And of course, he's going to go through the weight cut and he's probably going to be lighter in the octagon than now. And this is roughly how Islam's going to look compared to JDM. And of course, Islam's going to probably be slightly lighter than he is now. I would guess he would walk into the octagon at like the high 180s, similar to JDM, who weighed 189 pounds in the octagon against Pete Rodriguez. So I imagine Islam is going to be somewhat similar. JDM looks to be much wider, whereas Islam looks bulkier. But their builds aren't too different, honestly. They have a similar body composition. But there is a very important distinction, regardless of them being the same size, and that is JDM spending most of his career fighting, not only sparring, but fighting actual welterweights. But as we know, Islam's strength exceeded most other lightweights, so I think the transition to welterweight, just naturally, without the weight gain, would match him up pretty well with those guys strength-wise. I mean, he was so strong at lightweight that apparently he sparred with a UFC middleweight and destroyed him. I mean, you shouldn't be destroying your sparring partners, but that is what Punahele Soriano said about his training with Islam Makhachev. He said during COVID, when he was a middleweight and Islam was a lightweight, that he decided to train after being on a hiatus due to COVID, and just got beat up the entire time. And Soriano has since moved down to welterweight, and he is absolutely enormous for the weight class. But this is what he said when he trained with him before.
One time when I was still fighting at middleweight, I think it was during COVID, no excuses. I haven't been training for gyms are closed, whatever. And Ali texts me, he's like, hey, you want to work out today? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll work out. I haven't been able to do it. I go and it's just like me, Islam, and then this is still 55 Islam, and I'm still middleweight Puna, and he just beat the piss out of me for the whole training. So I think he's going to do great.
But now that he's bigger and gained 10 pounds, I think Islam's going to have a big strength advantage in this one. The takedown's going to be more difficult to stop, and his submissions, up to this point, only Volk has survived the grappling against a prime Islam, who conveniently is working with JDM to fight him. And, for a guy who's fought him twice before, he has Craig Jones in his corner who has prepared Volk to fight him twice. He has all the knowledge and secondhand experience to try to figure out the puzzle that is Islam Makhachev. And I still think, even with the weight gain, that JDM is the most difficult fight in Islam's career. Now, if Islam disproves that and just runs through JDM, he might be the best fighter we've ever seen. Because JDM is an opponent that even Khabib is somewhat concerned about. More concerned about him than anybody else Islam has ever fought. He named JDM as the most difficult fight in Islam's entire career, even moving forward. That's some high praise from Khabib. That Islam is never going to fight someone as difficult as JDM. Now, that doesn't mean like he's better than every other fighter, but it might just be a stylistic dynamic that JDM just presents different problems that others don't. And perhaps working with Volk and Craig Jones makes the tactical battle more strenuous for Islam's camp because they know that they're going up against guys who've already competed against him. The other thing that could go very well for Islam is that, perhaps he has a better chin. At lightweight, Islam wasn't like the most durable fighter or anything, but at welterweight with a lesser weight cut, his durability should improve in general, but he is going up against guys who are also bigger and hit harder, so it could level things out. Like, I think JDM hits harder than anybody Islam has fought so far. Like, the biggest punchers would be Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, and like Drew Dober. Yeah, none of them are hitting harder than JDM. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Islam can take the shots at welterweight better than he could at lightweight. At lightweight, he got hurt by Volk in the first fight. He got knocked out by lightweight Pantoja, Adriano Martins. He took some big shots from Dustin, but withstood those very well. Yeah, I would say in his prime that Volk probably hurt him the most. And Volk does not hit anywhere near as hard as JDM. I'd imagine his durability gets better, but it's to be seen. So those are the benefits of the weight gain, but the detriments could be a potential reduction in speed. Perhaps he's slower to throw punches, shoot takedowns, transition on the ground, and perhaps JDM is just comparably fast enough to scramble out of those positions. I'm not too sure about that one, but it is possible. The more probable detriment is potentially a deficient cardio for the weight class. He is going to have to be ready for 5 rounds. Cannot underestimate someone like JDM. If Islam does not have 5-round cardio, and he doesn't finish JDM early, those championship rounds are going to be rough for Islam because JDM does not let up when he has the opponent hurt. He has some of the best killer instinct out of any current fighter in the UFC. You can see it in all of his fights. As soon as the opponent is wilting even slightly, those moments seem to always give JDM a sudden burst of energy to just pressure the opponent, string together combinations, and just attempt to finish the fight. Even in the 5th round like he did against Bilal. If he ever hurts Islam, he is going to go for the kill. And if Islam does not have the cardio to withstand that, JDM might finish him devastatingly. But I think he's going to be okay. I think Islam has a very good training camp behind him. I don't think he would bulk up that much if it would have any sort of adverse effect. Islam's a smart fighter. They have a very big camp behind him. And I don't think Islam's coaches would allow him to get excessively big for the weight class. But we shall see. Islam's grip strength is something to behold. I mean, did you guys ever see him do that one exercise that Triple G does with the kettlebell? 20 kilograms for Islam is pretty ridiculous. Like, do you know how tough that is to do? Or at least it looks like 20 kilograms. KG right there at the bottom, yeah. I think that was him at lightweight. Did you guys ever see him do the semi-sumo deadlift with an overhand grip lifting 485 pounds? Which is pretty strong, especially for a fighter who weighs at 180 pounds. So Islam is most likely dedicating more of his time to weight training than usual, and let's see what JDM has been doing for his training. Dan Miragliotta must be refereeing his fight. The man is training for a street fight. Now, I do think soccer kicks should be allowed. Soccer kicks, grounded knees, stomps are tricky with the fence there, but hey, JDM has the vision. And JDM believes that if he gets taken down, that he's going to have to be quick to fight Islam at each transition. He believes that a lot of fighters are just willing to rest once they get taken down, and that allows Islam to move on to the next transition. He believes that you have to fight him at every move, and that's what he's going to bring differently for this one, because although JDM is not a grappler, he is pretty impressive with his scrambles. I mean, he even threw Burns off of him with a broken arm and then proceeded to knock him out immediately afterward. It's his strongest skill in the grappling. So I can't wait, man. It's the best fight of the year, in my opinion. A true super fight, where JDM is going to be defending his title for the first time against one of the best fighters we've ever seen, the champion who vacated his title for a permanent move to the welterweight division in Islam Makhachev.